Welcome to Podcastville. The church of what's happening now is brought to you by MeUndies. Listen to me. It's the holidays. You're going to give away undies. You're going to get undies. Who needs undies? But if they're real underwear, like MeUndies, that's an amazing gift. They're comfortable. They're flexible. They're 3 times softer than cotton. They're natural. They're sustainably sourced fiber. Listen, this is the way to go. So what I'm going to do is, the holiday season's upon us. I'm going to give you 20% off the softest underwear and socks you'll ever wear, period. Free shipping and 100% money-back guarantee. Satisfaction guarantee. How's that? MeUndies.com/Joey. That's MeUndies.com/Joey. This show is also brought to you by Lyft. Let me tell you why I like Lyft. Number one, Lyft is the ride-sharing company that believes in treating its people better. They believe that being a ride-sharing driver should be fun, and if you're having a good time, so are the passengers. So again, join the ride-sharing company that believes in treating its people better. Go to Lyft.com/Joey today, right now. Right now. Don't even mess around, and get a $500 new driver bonus. $500. That buys a lot of stuff. That's Lyft.com/Joey. Again, Lyft.com/Joey. Limited time only. Terms apply. Kick that motherfucking mule, Lee. What's the movie with Jeff fucking Spicoli in the 80s that we grew up on?
Wet Hot American Summer?
Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Yeah, Fast Times at Ridgemont.
Guy masturbating. Type that fucking video in right now. There you go.
Well, yeah, that could be considered, I guess. Yeah, right?
Can you believe how much we've changed? What did I watch? Oh, shit. The other night, me and my wife got stuck watching, and not got stuck because it's one of the greatest films of all time, Officer and a Gentleman. Richard Gere,
yeah, right.
One of Richard Gere's best fucking work.
Yeah, yeah.
In the first 30 minutes, he says 22 fucking offensive things. Like, just fucking offensive that you'd say, like, then he beats up a guy, breaks his nose. I'm like, look how much times have changed that was just, and he says something, he said something offensive like, racial. Like you're just a rich okie from Muskogee or some shit. Right there. Yeah, Phoebe. This is the one. They've been looking for her. They like been hunting her down. Right here.
Look how beautiful she was.
See? Look at this shit, Lee.
Hi, Brad. You know how cute I always thought you were.
Motherfuckers forget this.
Oh, yeah.
What the fuck you think you're dealing with? Look at this fucking girl, though. They just hunted her down. She looks like me. They just hunted her down. Yahoo. And now the sister catches him blasting off. Watch. Watch this. Watch this, Lee.
Q-tips, I've got water in my ears. I don't know. Check in the house.
Or somebody catches him blasting.
I think she catches him.
Look at him. This is real comedy, people. Whacking off with a pirate suit on. Come on, huh? This is real comedy right here. This is real fucking comedy. This is a classic fucking film.
Knock anymore?
Look at her. Jesus Christ. Nobody remembers this shit. You know, I gotta drop knowledge every fucking day.
No, that was a tremendous
Thank God
movie.
I take fucking Alpha Brain. I remember all these deep down secrets.
I do love that, watching old movies and you see stuff that wouldn't like pass today. Like they wouldn't let it in at all. Like you had that TV show where the guy said the N-word in the courtroom or something.
Oh, Sanford
and Sons.
You know, they have it on YouTube. Go to YouTube, Sanford and Son courtroom scene. It's brilliant, and it's.
Well, then I was reading that Angela Lansbury, she's like 92 years old, and then she came out and was like, sometimes it's women's fault too, and blah, blah, blah.
The third one.
And people got on her, but it's like she's a 92-year-old woman. She had to bear the brunt of all of the evil. You know what I mean? Like,
NBC.
Let her say it.
I'm black. Well, you the judge. That don't count. Listen, why don't you arrest some white drivers?
I do.
You do? Well, where are they? Look at all these niggas in here. Look around here. There's enough niggas in here to make a Tarzan movie.
This is 19. Look at this, Felicia. Look at this is 19 what, Felicia? 80?
Yeah. No, this is like 75
Yes.
or 4, right?
Yeah. This
Something like that.
This is so
This is a
fucking
great
crazy.
show. Yeah.
So fucking crazy that I get stuck sometimes watching movies and when you're like look at that. Press that Archie Bunker on the Jews. Again, CBS 1970. This is crazy how much we've changed.
Oh, yeah,
House
yeah.
must be doing pretty good if you can lay out $8-10 a day for a cleaning woman.
$10? Oh, they're getting more than that for good cleaning people today. Maybe she's a live-in maid.
Wow, what are you talking about, Edith? The only people nowadays can afford live-in help are rich people and Jews.
Not all Jewish people are rich.
I never knew one that wasn't.
The Steiners from our old neighborhood weren't. They didn't have as much as we did, even.
Yeah, to hear them tell it. Hey, you don't suppose Bowman sold his house to one of that tribe, do you? I mean, he was always a jerk, but he wouldn't do a thing like that to this neighbor, would he?
Well, what I'm wondering is if a rich Jewish person could afford to hire a maid, why would he buy Jim Bowman's old house?
To make trouble, Edith, that's right. These people are always looking to make a test case. What do you think they got that their organization there, what do you call it, B'nai Bris? Well, I'm going to go over there and find out.
Where are you going?
Well, I'm just going to take a walk over to Jim Bowman's house, and I'm going to talk to him about it, that's all. Where's my lumberjack?
Right in there.
Where?
Somewhere in there.
But somewhere in there ain't right in there, Edith.
How about right in there somewhere?
How will you get in there and get the jacket?
It was right there.
You sure have your little ways of torturing me, Edith.
How much have we
Just
changed?
crossing my mind. Remember old man McNabb?
Yeah.
Used to live down the street there. Remember the time that he was going to sell his place to them Jews?
Oh.
And you come around with that petition to all the rest of us to sign. Remember? Keep 'em out? We all signed it, huh?
Yeah.
You really saved the block that time, Jim.
Well, you know me.
So, I mean, you wouldn't then turn around and do what McNabb was trying to do, would you?
You mean sell to Jews?
Yeah.
Oh, no. These people are Baptists.
Oh, that's nice,
Oh,
Jim.
Mr. Bowman, I just talked with the telephone company, and they are putting my phone in today. Now, I really believe the house is mine. Oh, hi, neighbor.
And that's the birth of the Jeffersons. Can you believe that, Felicia?
Yeah.
That's the birth of the
It was
Jeffersons.
such great TV, then,
Fuck!
right?
Fuck! I forgot
Right?
all this shit.
Yeah.
Look at his face. It was the coon. That's the name of it. The coons are coming. Oh my God, that's the name of the episode. Well, let's just leave it on that. I mean, we're watching all this shit.
Take, for instance, what this represents. This here is the struggle of the races, man's inhumanity to man. Yet through it all, the shining hope of a new brotherhood, see?
The girl has gone basic. I'm all alone here. I'm all alone in this house. Isn't anybody else interested in upholding standards? Our world is coming crumbling down. The coons are coming.
This is CBS, Felicia.
Archie, 12% of the population is black. There should be a lot
Yeah.
of black families living out here.
Yeah, this is only a beginning, but I think it's wonderful.
Wonderful, huh? Well, let's see how wonderful it is when a watermelon rinds come flying out the window.
Wow, right?
Oh my God. Oh my God, I forgot all about these episodes and shit.
And it's tough because, like, they're funny because, like, you see how ridiculous they are now. But there are people who are like, yeah, the Jews are moving in.
But nobody was complaining.
That's true.
Well, because it had a morality to it where he would learn his little lesson. You know what I mean? It wasn't, you know.
When Sammy Davis kissed him in the lips.
Yeah.
That's that time, or when the Puerto Rican guy found his wallet.
I don't remember that one.
There was an episode where a Puerto Rican guy found his wallet, and he couldn't fucking believe the Puerto Rican was returning it. You know, it was such a sign of the time.
Right.
And when the Puerto Rican came over, Edith was like, "Hi, Hector." And it's the guy that was the typical Puerto Rican at the time. He, in fact, he was the original cat. He was Julio. He was Julio on Sanford and Son.
Oh,
he
okay.
played every Puerto Rican. And he comes in and goes, "Mr. Bunker, here's the wallet I found, and the cash is still in it." And he goes, "Yeah, you know, you're a hero. You know, I never expected a bump." He goes, "Edith, don't just stand there. Give him something to drink." Right? And then he turns, she goes, "I don't know what to offer him." And he, you know, like, the guy's right there. And he goes, "I don't know if Puerto Ricans drink." He goes, and he goes, "How about some pineapple juice?" You know, like, and even as a kid, it didn't offend me in no way at all.
Well, I think it must be interesting, like, for Lee to watch it because we remember it from when we were kids. So
Boy, can you imagine
it
that
made sense in the time.
Television today, like, can you imagine that on set? Listen, Sanford and Son came on at 8:30 on Fridays. Jeez. After Chico and the Man on 8. Okay, it was Chico and the Man, and with Freddie Prinze, which was I can't explain to you what it meant to a guy like me on Friday night. I didn't do anything. Till 9 o'clock. So Chico and the Man and Sanford and Son was over with. And then they had Crime Story with Andrew Dice Clay. Nobody fucking remembers that either. It was, no, I'm lying to you people. That was earlier. Then Freddie Prinze died. Then that whole thing went down the tubes. And then they came out with Miami Vice at 9 and Crime Story with Andrew Dice Clay at 10. That was a good fucking show.
No, it was a good show, yeah, for sure.
So on Friday nights, Lee, if you were 13, you watched Sanford and Son. You just didn't. Your parents went out on Fridays, and you were like, "Thank God, bye. Yeah, we're gonna do homework. Fuck you. We're gonna get a pizza from Sal's, and we're gonna sit here and watch Chico and the Man and laugh, and then we're gonna fucking watch." I still remember watching him say the nigger thing about, "Don't you arrest any black people. Where the fuck are they? Look at all these niggas in here." I still remember sitting in my living room with Alona Mertens, a German girl that was beautiful. And her and I on Friday, she was 2 years older than me, and she had a boyfriend who moved to Miami, so me and her boyfriend were friends, and we did that on Friday. So she would come over. Eventually we made out, and I sucked her titties and shit.
Because it always goes that way.
Yeah.
Do you remember What's Happening? That was my favorite.
What's Happening? Good Times.
Yeah.
The White Shadow about basketball.
Oh, yeah, that was a
team.
big one, yeah.
That was, and these were all shows. It's funny, Gerard Carmichael had a short-lived show on NBC that I really enjoyed. And I really enjoyed the guy from In Living Color on it. He was great. Tiffany Haddish was great. But what I really liked about the Gerard Carmichael show, that it had to do with issues of what was going on right now, today. You know, that's what was going on in the 70s. People were moving on up. Like I always tell people, I'm from North Bergen, New Jersey, but I'm really from Hoboken. Because the people I grew up with were all from Hoboken. They were people who moved on up to North Bergen and bought a house. Like they moved out of a tenement, and North Bergen was the new thing to move up to. So North Bergen was all Irish and Italian. I can't imagine when I moved into the block. And they were like, there's a new spec kid on the block. So I understood all this type of shit. I got it.
It's tough now because, like, I grew up in a time when this wasn't allowed. Like, I've heard stories like Jews not allowed into country clubs, and I've heard stuff like that before, but I never really experienced it. When I grew up, everyone was, I guess it was like the start of the PC world or whatever you want to call it. But it doesn't hurt my feelings, but I can see, like, if you grew up in it, maybe it's something you're just normal, like you're used to. But I can't imagine not being able to move into a neighborhood because they're not gonna like the Jews are living there. That's a weird thought to have.
Yeah, but that's how it was. I mean, that it was. Well, even Trump got in trouble with his dad because they wouldn't rent to black people. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it was completely like that. It was very.
And I like it's interesting now looking at like Boston. There's this part called Dorchester where it's a lower income area. There's a lot of black people there now. But when my mom's parents were moving to the area, there was all Jewish people. So it's interesting how. Like, sometimes I'm like, why do all these Chinese people live together? And it's like, maybe that's the only place they had to live. And now they have a little area, but it's just something that we never really have to think about at all.
Yeah.
Well, when they migrate, like, that's very interesting, the migration. It was really great when I did the 23andMe. And you and Terry were talking about the Chinese thing.
Right.
About how I had a little bit of Chinese. What the fuck you laughing about? I know you're laughing about.
But should I say it about?
Yeah.
I was dating this Asian guy, right? And so Joey would always be like, "You going out with the Doyson?" And I'm like, "What the fuck is a Doyson?" He goes like, "That was the name we called Asian people when I was a kid, Chinese people." And then I was like, "Shut up, that's so fucked up." And then he does the Ancestry and Me or 23andMe, and he's like, "I'm 2%." I'm like, "Oh my god, you're a Doyson."
I'm a Doyson. And then you justified it. You said that the Chinese, way before Columbus, took a tour around the world.
Well, there's also, I read a book once where there was a great armada as a Chinese empire fell that had gone out, like, because they would go out for like 3 to 7 years or whatever, and that they went all the way around the world, and it'd be a lot of ships together, an armada. And so if a ship crashed, they would take them on, but as soon as they hit land, they had to go on the land, and then they would just kind of, meld into the people that were there, and that genetically, that's why they can tell and say Asian, like that makes complete sense because they probably went all the way around and were up in Cuba. They went all the way around, and they had certain types of chickens that genetically test, like that are in South America, are Asian, have some kind of Asian component, and they say that's part of it. I mean, it's interesting when you start thinking about history like that, No,
and especially your history. Like, I ended up west. Well, I always knew, because the Cuban history, I always knew that the island was originally Indians. Columbus came, and then the slave trade, and then people from Spain went there after a war, and you had this big fucking galash of people. Irish went there during the Battle of the Boyne, so you had all this, just like anything else. There was a big Jewish community, like, I couldn't believe how big the Jewish community was down there.
In Cuba, they have a big Chinese community, right?
Biggest Chinatown in the world, from China until 1960 or something just outrageous. And when Bourdain went, he went to the Chinatown. They were like, it's not Chinatown no more. Like, all the Chinese left, like all that.
Oh, really?
And there's only one left now that we've discussed. There's only one Cuban Chinese cook left.
Oh, really?
And he's on 79th Street in Broadway, like Caridad. There's even a video about him on YouTube. Like, he's the last guy left. Like, that's it.
Oh.
That when I was a kid, there were probably 5 of those Chinese Cuban restaurants in the area. Now they're down to 1.
How crazy must it be to move to a different country? Like, now it might be a little bit easier, but like I'm like 3rd or 4th generation, maybe even more. I don't know about you, Felicia, but Joey, I mean, you immigrated from a different country. It must be terrifying. It must be like I don't think I can even understand what it's like.
I don't think that it was as terrifying because of my age.
That's true.
Right. Yeah.
It wasn't really a thought. Like, if I really, 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 really sit and think, if you ask me anything about Cuba, there's nothing I remember except looking at the ocean one day. And I remember driving with my dad in a car like that. But I also remember driving through the Lincoln Tunnel with my dad, sitting in the driver's seat with no seatbelt, and you could still drive. Like, I have more memories of my dad in the United States than I do in Cuba. Like, I don't remember none of that shit. I remember going to kindergarten and the language barrier. Like, I was telling Felicia, when I was a kid, I wouldn't eat chocolate till nighttime. And people go, why do you eat chocolate at nighttime? I says, because that's what it says, chocolate late.
Yeah.
So I thought it was chocolate late, you know? So I didn't know. Like, when I was 5, I would always save chocolate for the nighttime.
Yeah.
Why do you drink? Because it's chocolate late. You know, like, all those things to me seem interesting. That's why I try to be nice to people, but I'm extra nicer to immigrants. Because I remember those 2 or 3 year window, how insecure I felt. And it wasn't just the insecurity. I tell a joke on stage that it really bothers me to tell this joke when I say it, about that time period. I was allergic to maple syrup. Mm-hmm. I was a really sickly kid. So it wasn't bad enough that I was sickly. Now I was an immigrant. So I was to these little white kids on 88th Street. I was this fucking spick pariah that was always with bandages, or, you know, I always had bandages on my arm from getting blood drawn.
So, like, not only are you new, which is scary.
Yeah. So
you're Spanish.
Couldn't speak Spanish.
Wow.
And I was fucking sickly. That fucking destroyed me. And my dad had died. Mm-hmm. So my mom said every time a door opened, you would look at the door.
Right.
You know, so I was just a fucking mess. But I still remember, like, I don't think somebody made fun of me. I think somebody said I wasn't American, and in my mind, I was like, you know what, fuck you. I'll prove to you I'm an American. I'm going to go eat hot dogs. Like, I still remember thinking, if I had enough hot dogs, I'd be a fucking American. Like, things like that.
Right.
That.
Did your mom already speak English when she came over here?
To say yes and no to that answer, you have to know my mom. My mom spoke English when it was convenient to her.
Right.
Okay,
right.
That's it.
Yeah.
She spoke as good as English as you could when it was convenient to her.
Right.
When it wasn't convenient to her, she played it off. So it got to the point where she wanted me to speak English outside the house. Inside the house, I had to speak Spanish. She encouraged for me to learn English and keep the Spanish, which I didn't want to.
Well, I think about your mom all the time, like how strong and strong-willed she must have been to be able to go through that period of time as an immigrant, you know, as a single mother, as someone who is working in an industry that is not ladylike. You know, how she just... That's pretty amazing, you know?
It's not that part of her life that intrigues me about my mother. It's 1955 through 1961 or 2, which is the most intriguing part of me, that I wish there was a way I knew everything that happened. Because it was just a mess. Like the warrant, her going to the Bronx, her meeting somebody on the street and them getting jobs as runners, you know, for a bookmaker in the neighborhood, and then the bookmaker has a heart attack, and they're the ones that know how to do it. Like, you know, it's like Lee is smart. He knows that the cops are looking for male runners. It's 1955 in the Bronx. He knows they're looking for male runners. So he enlists 2 16-year-old cute girls to run the numbers for him. Well, guess what? The guy gets some type of heart attack. So guess who has to run his business? These 2 17 or 18-year-old girls now. And they had to maneuver their way and keep it quiet. Because if the neighborhood found out that Lee was sick, they wouldn't pay the girls. The girls would get... So they had to figure out a way, these 2 girls. And, you know, I don't know the whole story, but that's the story. And then somewhere along the line, she met my father and went back to Cuba and had my sister and me, and then they would go back and forth.
They met in New York?
Yeah, they met in New York. Yeah, they met in New York as young kids. Yeah, I thought they had met in... No. They met in New York in like a weirdest fucking way. My uncle told me, he goes, no. He goes, she got to New York, and bam, a year later they were hooked up together. And then he was doing his thing, she was doing her thing. And I, you know, like he goes, did you know your mom lived in Venezuela?
What?
No, I did not know that. Like my uncle told me, he goes, yeah, she was in Venezuela with your father for 6 months.
Oh, no.
Then they lived on an island.
Wow.
They lived in
Curacao?
Curacao. They lived in Curacao for 6 months. Like they were like 2 fucking whatever. Then they went to Cuba, and I said,
so
those
what
are the
do you
years.
think they were doing? Like, what's your guess that, you know, what were they doing? Because they didn't have a lot of money, right?
They were investing the money from the numbers they were making. Nobody really knew the money my mother was making from those numbers.
Wow.
It was. And then they opened up a sandwich shop across the street from a grammar school in Union City. Right next to the bar of the guy that had the big dick. I told the story, Willie Vandy. Club 38. It's an appliance store now. It's like an air refrigeration, but in the 50s, they had a sandwich store named the OK. And it was up the block from me, the Washington School or something in Union City. Then they sold that and bought the bar. The whole time they were doing numbers. But my father had a secret business, the heroin business with these Jews on the Lower East Side. Him and a gay guy named Angel would take coke to Connecticut and shit, heroin to Connecticut and shit like that. And that's how they were really making their money.
Wow.
So they had this bar business, but at the same time, my father was a committee man. He was a Cuban committee man. He was the first Cuban committee man in Union City.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
So that's why when he died, it was such a mystery. They had to get him out before they did an autopsy to reveal the drug use, because the politicos weren't involved on it. So it's kind of fucked up how it all went down. Like, those are the years.
How old do you think she was at this time?
My mom?
Yeah.
30-something. 36, maybe. Because, I was 3. So she died when I was 15. So 48 minus 12 is what?
36.
36. But she was 36 and she picked up. Like, I remember saying to her, why did we move from that house in Jersey? She was like, when somebody dies, you move. That's it. Like, she's like, I didn't want to live in Jersey anyway. I hated Jersey. She wanted to be in New York.
Right.
That era, really, I want to know what happened those years. Like, those are the years that have always intrigued me about her. I still remember the dry cleaner. I still remember her going with her to different banks. Like, let's say she had her own bank, but Felicia had her bank. My mother's bank was in Studio City, but Felicia's bank was in Sherman Oaks. Even though, on paper, we should be kind of enemies, we're fighting for the same nickel, my mother didn't look at it that way. So there were days I'd go to your bank with my mother, and we'd go over there, and you'd be surrounded by 12 guys yelling numbers and writing them on a blackboard, and go get 20 pounds of lobster, some fucking whatever. Let's celebrate the Norwood. Like, we used to go to different banks and see how they ran them. God knows what could have went down. I was 5,
Wow.
But I would see how she would maneuver around men and how, it was like this respect. She was a woman and she was making her own money in this woman's and this men's world. And then when she got the bar, I got to see how guys would treat her at night. Like, she never let us slip up. Like, she was one of those women that always, like, she never let us slip up. Like, it never got to point B. She would fucking nail you on point A, check you so fucking hard that you would just shit your fucking pants. Like, you would just go, okay. And then 20 people would stare you down and go, what were you thinking?
Right.
Like, it was that type of when men came onto her or something. And I like that. I like that style. She would just shut that shit down. Like, I still remember different. Like, one night this guy hit me because I said something to him, and she found out that he kicked me. And my mom asked me, did he really fucking kick you? I go, yeah, but I called him like a fucking half a fag or something. She goes, that don't mean nothing. He can't be kicking no son of mine. And she picked up the phone, and she was saying shit to this guy that she goes, before you hit my son, this is what you need to do. You need to go get a guy to put a big dick up your ass and fuck you. And then you carry that kid for 9 months. And then you spit it out of your fucking pussy, you little miserable motherfucker. Don't let me see you again. I mean, she was just going off on this guy. She scared the shit out of this guy. This guy, like, closed his mechanic shop for like 4 days until fucking...
The coast was clear?
Right.
Yeah, until they smoothed it out. Like, it was just a weird thing to see.
Right. But when she was younger and lived in Cuba, how did she go to the United States the first time?
It was like going to Atlantic City. There was no TSA.
Yeah, right.
Do you remember flying in the 80s?
Oh, when I was...
Do you remember flying? I mean, explain to people what flying in the 80s
when
was.
I was at the beginning of my career flying quite a bit, and you would always try to get the cheapest ticket. So there was this guy that had his office, travel agent, down by the airport.
Right down the corner.
And this guy, you would fly under 106 different names because he would finagle, like when people couldn't get when they couldn't make the flight, blah, blah, blah. They would like source it to him. So you would pay like, $100 or $100.
And fly on the Syatt.
Yeah, you would fly. And then there were celebrities that did it too. And then it stopped because one celebrity comic, I can't remember who it was, like Jackie Mason or something like that. Someone recognized that his name didn't match his ticket. I don't know if it was Jackie Mason, but it was something like that. And then that's when things started to change when that came in. But it was awesome because you could get the cheapest tickets.
But I still remember going to an airport and going, what time's the next flight? Like, there was no online, Lee. Like, hold on, what's the next flight to Vegas? Tick, 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 tick. Burbank, Vegas. There's none of that.
Yeah.
You had to, like, go on the Yellow Pages and call the 800 line and, hi, this is Mel. What can I? I'd like to go to Florida. I'm flying out of Burbank. What time? 8 a.m. Well, what do you got? And they tell you, and it's like, how do you pay for it? Well, you pay for it 2 hours before flight time.
Yes,
and you would go down to the airport, Lee, with a cash of money or a check or a credit card. Diners Club. That's what you traveled under. And you could pay. There was no ID, Lee. I could go to an airport and go, what's your name? Pablo Escobar. Okay, your ticket's $300, Mr. Escobar. Pay him, and that was it. They took your word for it. How do you spell Escobar? That's it. There was no TSA. There was a guy with a fucking thing that you went through, and he went, that's it.
Or how about no cell phones? How about that? Traveling with no cell phones. How about that? Remember that?
I remember that. I'm not that young. I still remember, like, when I was a kid, my brother and I we had bikes, and we were old enough to go away from the house. We didn't have a cell phone. We had my mom got like these long range walkie talkies that would go like 5 or 6 miles, and I remember carrying those around.
Yeah.
But well, growing up, I had silverware with American Airlines on it, like actual silverware that my dad or mom must have taken off the flight or something. Like they had actual silverware for meals.
No, they gave you flighting was completely different. I told you, I still remember going into an airplane bathroom, and there would be perfumes and hand creams for free. There were planes that were 2-deckers. They were double-decker planes. So first class was upstairs. There was a guy playing the piano, and there'd be a fucking, it was crazy.
A guy playing a piano.
Even if you watch the movie with De Niro and that guy that he has to take him cross country, Midnight Run. Remember? They had to go upstairs.
Yeah.
Planes were double deckers, Lee. And first class was upstairs, and there was a pig with an apple in its mouth. And you'd come over and take a piece of the pig and shit.
Wow. Have you ever been on a plane where they're moving a convict from one city to the other? So that is weird. And then one time that happened to me, but they were sitting right behind me, but it was it's like so paranoid,
I haven't been on a plane.
They put those people on regular, like I've always heard Joey joke about that when you do Expedia or something, but they don't have like regular planes for criminals?
It's like they have a Con Air, but for quick trials and shit like that, like for witness relocated guys. Like, let's say you're a witness relocated guy and you're in Indiana, but your court case is in New York. They won't fly you direct. They'll fly you from Indiana to Michigan, from Michigan to San Francisco. Then you stay a day and you go from San Francisco to Oklahoma. Then Oklahoma to New York City. I got the whole lowdown. FBI guy one time.
And why do they do that?
Just so nobody's on your tail. You don't know where you're going. It's so weird. When you're in the witness relocation plan, you don't know where you're going to an hour before you're leaving. When they hand you your ticket and your dossier of what school your son's going to go to and what's his name going to be, and
That sounds terrible. Like the only I saw it. I just watched My Name Is Earl, so I saw them go through it. I can't imagine just being like, "Yeah, you're moving to Nebraska, and your name is Joe now, and you can't tell anybody. You can't contact anybody."
Do you know anyone that ever went under the witness protection program?
Salubats.
Yeah.
Salubats. I met him here in Studio City. He lived around the corner from your house.
Oh, really?
And it was very interesting because you grow up, with this code that you'll never snitch, you'll never rat. I've never ratted. I don't believe, I don't know. But it's crazy when you actually rat. Like, I always want to know the reasons, and I like to figure them out. With Sal Lubatz, it's a very interesting story. He was going to get 20 years for heroin. He could have done the 20 years standing on his head. Sal is fucking 78, and he just got married a month ago. Mm-hmm. Like, he's one of those guys. He looks great. He's in great shape. But what people don't know about Sal was that when Sal was going through all that shit with John Gotti, he had 2 sons that were fucking college, heavy-duty prospect. Like, they were in high school, and fucking colleges were already looking at these 2 guys.
Oh, really?
Like, big time. So, here's the story. When he got flipped, he thought about his kids. And he ratted on John Gotti, and he took his kids to Texas and changed their names. And, it took the government a lot because they were looking for the boys. Mm-hmm. That's how Gotti was going to find them, through the boys. So they had to switch their names and put them in different high schools in different fucking parts of Texas. And guess what? They both got scholarships to Division I schools.
Oh, really?
Fuck yeah.
So they still played?
One primarily, the University of Colorado in Boulder.
Oh, really?
So all those years when I was living in Boulder, Sal Lubatz was up the corner in North Boulder.
Yeah.
That's what we hit off after we met. Son went, and then he played pro football. So now, when I just spoke to Sal a week ago, he's in Vegas, and he got approached by a writer now, and he's got a little deal. Mm-hmm. Paramount or somebody threw him a little deal, and they're going to write the story of his sons.
So, so when do you get to leave the witness protection program?
When do you get to leave?
Yeah, if he's telling you this and we're talking about
when
it,
when I met him, he was already gone from the program. He still had contact with the handlers. Mm-hmm. We shot a horrible movie called The Sinatra Club, and when I got to the set, not only was the FBI there, but Henry Hill was there, drunk. He was just a fucking loser. Really? Like, when you met Henry Hill is like 70% of the people in Hollywood. They did something one time, but they blew it up into something else. You could tell Henry Hill was just a half a mutt, and even Sal said to me, he goes, one time when I first got into the program, I got a job working as an apartment building manager, and I got a hold of Henry. Henry lived in Venice or the Valley or whatever, and I invited him over, and when we were drinking coffee, he saw the apartment keys to all the apartments. And he's like, why don't we rob the apartments? He goes, Henry, you're 50-something fucking years old.
Really?
Henry was still he was just a fucking thug that got to tell his story first. Mm-hmm. Then a bunch of people wrote their book saying that guy was crazy. Right. But Scorsese bought them all, so nobody could deter from his story. Primarily the daughter. Henry Hill's daughter wrote a great book, and she was like, how can you believe a guy that was high? He married, listen, Henry Hill was so crazy. There's a part in My Blue Heaven where Steve Martin goes into he's a mafia guy. Have you ever seen that movie?
Right.
Great, brilliant movie. But there's a scene where he calls his handler and he goes, hey, Vinny, I got married. Say hello. And he goes, but Vinny, you're already married. He goes, don't worry, I married her under my other name. Henry Hill at one time was married to his wife in the same house in Washington State. He was married to his wife, and she lived in the building, in the basement, and he was married to a young chick upstairs under his witness relocation name. And that's what he told his wife. Because, what are you talking about? It's not cheating. I married her under my witness name. But in his criminal fucking demented, alcoholic, cocaine mind, he thought that was fine.
So did the 2 women know about each other and coexisted?
Oh yeah, they lived in the same house, and then shit turned over. Then he got busted in Washington, and then all this shit went down. But you know, it's like the most interesting guy in the world to me the last 20 years. Like, I find a lot of people interesting. Hemingway is interesting. But I like when somebody makes something out of nothing.
Yeah.
Those are the people that impress the fuck out of me, whether it's a woman with a Avon company or something, whatever. Is a guy, he just got out of jail. Sammy the Bull just got out of jail. I would pay to have him on the podcast, to pick his business mind apart, and to pick, after 30 years, why he ratted. And I guarantee that he'd say that I'd write down why he ratted and give it to him, and he'd go, how did you know? Mm-hmm. Because I thought about it. He had to get to them before they got to them. You follow me?
Right.
Sometimes it's better to get your story out faster before he tells his.
Exactly. Yeah.
When the tapes first came out, it made the tape sound like he was crazy, Sammy the Bull Gravano. Like Gotti was just talking all this shit about him. Meanwhile, he was making $12 million a fucking year. Like giving you $12 million a year off his construction rackets. When I give you $1 million a month off my construction rackets, do you know how much money I'm making?
$10 million a month.
So you have to understand, that guy figured out how to become, this is why I never understood why Trump, beside the politics and the elections and the wig and the bad hair and the Russians, I never understood how Trump got elected, because in Sammy's book, he talks all about Trump.
Yeah.
It was the construction business.
I know.
And it was the construction business.
Well, I remember you telling me about that when it was during the election.
Way before the election, I told the people, I'm like, he mentioned it in the book, and then she came out and said, I hope Trump wins because maybe he'll pardon my dad. They're old friends. She said it. The daughter said it on Entertainment Weekly or something.
Right.
That's construction is construction. And he gives the story, how he would shake Trump down. How you shake a building down. Felicia Michaels is building a fucking tremendous new building in New York. Everything. A blowjob room. You stick your dick in the wall and Al Franklin tickles your balls. You know what I'm saying? Like the whole fucking thing.
My cute tiny little balls.
So you have this loan from the bank. You got to pay this fucking loan back. You borrow $200 million. You know what your VIG is every fucking month? So construction has to fucking be on call, like constant. Like they got to keep moving. Like there's an article now that came out that he was paying those poor Polacks $4 an hour.
Yeah. Yes.
Remember in The Sopranos when they would give him envelopes? Okay, by union law, I got to have 30 laborers on. At $18 an hour, you know what $18 an hour is? That's $18 for fucking also workman's comp. So if I pay you 18, you're really costing me fucking 36. Plus the 10 for the union bullshit. So that's 36 and 10 is 46. So I'm paying fucking Felicia Michaels $46 a fucking hour, or whatever the fuck it is. Plus, I gotta fucking give her a 15-minute break for her to scratch her ass and smoke a cigarette. Fuck you.
Right.
So what they do is they take 30 laborers and they take 15 of them and they actually pay them. But then they take 15 poor souls and they pay them non-union wages.
Right.
And they pocket the union wages. And that's who the mafia gets the payback from.
Oh.
So if you have 15 fucking guys and you're saving $40 an hour, that's a lot of labor fucking. That's a lot of.
Right.
So that's what they do.
Well, why do you think people see past that?
Money. That's all.
No, I see people past that because I'm very confused on what's going on lately and what happens. We forgive. We forgive as Americans. We have to forgive as human beings.
I know, but we always forgive after we really super set someone on fire. And it just seems like he makes so many fires. We're so distracted. It's like, oh, he said this and he did that. No, that happened.
I'm not talking about right now. Forget about right now. I'm talking about 15, 20 years ago. All the little actions that he did that, like the Trump thing. I mean, I said it. And 2 weeks later, the Washington Journal Review had a write-up about it. Trump official ties to Sammy the Bull and Philadelphia. He bought that property directly from the Philly mob. You know, like there's like, you know, nobody cared. It was forgotten about. You know, we also live in a society that glamorizes mafia. You know, why did we love Sinatra so much? Because he could sing? No. Because he rubbed elbows with people. He was cool. He hung out with a fucking black Jew. 2 other guys. The glamorization. You know, if I come to you tomorrow and say I cheated on Terry with some chick, I don't think you'd talk to me for a while. But Tony Soprano did it every week to his wife.
Right.
And you couldn't wait to watch The Soprano. And not one time did you look at me and say, he's a fat fucking little cheater.
Actually, I wouldn't say anything to Terry. But,
No.
But I would say to you, get your shit together.
No. You understand what I'm trying to say to you? That
No, I know.
It's how we look at different situations.
Right.
You know, right now we're living in a country right now where I could say to you, Felicia, I got to confess something to you. You're going to say what? I'm going to say, you know, when I did the longest yard, I was putting my football pants on one day and Adam Sandler rubbed my nutsack. Now that happened in 2004. And you'd say to me, so did you say anything? No, he's Adam Sandler. You know, that was 12 years ago. Who's going to believe fat fucking
And then I'd say,
Joey?
did you enjoy it? What was it like?
You know, but I also have to before I open my mouth and say something, I gotta go, well, has he been convicted of it again? Like, it's funny, you and I had this conversation a month ago, and I thought about it, and now I understand where we were coming from, why people come out afterwards.
Right.
Because then I was
Because you
thinking,
felt very strongly of like, that's not okay. You come out right away or
you
shut
come
up.
out right away or whatever. But then you go, wait a minute. All of a sudden one day we're sitting here, Lee has a few drinks, and he goes, did I ever tell you that day in the longest shot, Adam Sandler trying to finger up my ass during the shower scene, and now we got a problem.
Yeah.
Because now he did it to 2 of us, and now we'll both go public, you know. But at the same time, I always think about what I was doing 20 years ago and what I'm doing today. Mm-hmm. And I can look you in the eye and tell you I've completely changed that. Like, I don't see a lot of that I used to see before. Like that low-end vine, as you call it, when you're a criminal. So I can't. Are you with me on this? Like, it's rough for a guy like me. If you said to me 2 weeks ago I went to a comedy show and somebody fingered me in the back, we got a fucking problem.
You know what, Joey? I was just having lunch with Jackie Cation and a bunch of comics, and there was a young guy comic that was defending girl comics about how newbie girl comics are afraid at night at the clubs, and I was all like, whatever. And then someone brings up Louis, and I was literally like, I was around Louis for a long time, and he never did anything to me, and so I am suspect. And then all the stuff came out, and you think, and you start to realize, you know, people that are predatory are picking people that no one will believe. You know what I mean? That they're going to pick people that if you heard something, you'd be, oh, that girl's questionable, or I don't believe you, or this or that, you know? And I just think that there needs to be a clear conversation of what we're going to tolerate as a society. You know, like if a guy hits on me while I'm at work, you know, what is the rule? Like, what are the rules? We need to have that conversation. So, like, one part of me is like, God, Al Franken must be a creeper. But then the other part of me is like, wouldn't it be great if someone like that could really have a conversation, like start a conversation of what is acceptable and what is not acceptable, you know? Because I think a lot of people are getting called out righteously, and I think I worry about, because I heard a girl comic say, oh, now bookers aren't going to book girls because they don't want to freak the guys out. You know what I mean? It'll go underground. It's like all this shit. Like, let's just have a real conversation about it.
I don't want this to be like, for girls, a handicapped bathroom for comedy. Like, now 2 girls can't get hired because a guy's in the condo.
Right.
I don't want that to happen.
Yeah.
Everybody shouldn't. And it's you know what?
Yeah,
I've shared thousands of condos with
me
fucking
too.
women. I've been cool with them.
Yeah.
It's I've never, you know, what was the word you used? Predatory. I've never been predatory with my hands, but when I used to get coked up, the coke would make me be predatory with my mouth.
Right.
You know what I'm
So
saying?
you talk some shit.
I would talk about some shit, but my salesmanship, pussy skills were also getting enlightened, you know.
Were you good at it?
When I was coked up,
yeah,
I could talk you into fucking anything.
Yeah.
If you were on the fence, if you were a little coke, if you like doing a little coke and getting fingered, I could get you halfway there. Do you know what I'm saying? And I'm the type of guy that I never wanted no surprise, because I was such an addict that don't think you're gonna come to my hotel room, snort coke, at least not suck a dick or do something like that.
Right.
You're snorting the coke. Yeah, we're family. Even if tomorrow we're back to being friends, tonight you gotta suck a little dick. You gotta show me that monkey. You gotta do something. I would set it up before we went to the hotel.
So the girl knew exactly what was happening.
Yeah, I would pull you aside and say,
pull that
Felicia, I got an 8-ball. We got a bottle of Tito's. When we get there, I gotta put you to work a little bit. What do you mean? You know, you gotta show me the monkey. We gotta do something. Okay, you know the deal. Some people knew the deal going in, so you have to be like I was. You know, like what are you gonna do here? You're sitting with next to this as a accountant. You're gonna go home at 11.
But do you ever even worry about saying stories like that? Because I'm sure there's people that hear that interpret that differently. I'm not saying.
I'm talking for you. I'm telling you from an addict's perspective.
Right.
I'm not telling you from a Joe Diaz perspective during the coke years. Like, I was telling this story at dinner about somebody, you know, somebody saved my life tonight, Sugar Bear. Well, let me tell you a fucking fucked up story, and you know part of the story. I didn't fill you in on the whole fucking story because I didn't remember at the time. We talk on the phone, her and I, from time to time, and we giggling with dear friends. If I'm 54, she's 52. But she was hot when I was 15 and she was 13. I used to have an above-ground pool. And when I was about 14, everybody would come over the pool and I had goggles on one day. You know, when you're 14, that's when you start reacting to women, you know. And I was, you know, swimming underneath and I saw her go underneath. And when she went up, her bikini went down a little bit and she had the hairiest pussy in the world and my body just froze in the water. I thought I was gonna fucking drown, but she was like kind of like a little sister type. I hung out with her brother, and we all hung out together. And this nothing happened, Felicia. We were tight, and guess what? My mother dies.
Yeah.
My mother dies November 8th, and it's Christmas Eve, and I felt terrible inside, Felicia. I mean, I didn't know what I felt like. I just can't describe the feeling. Like, and we spoke on the phone, and we were fucking howl. You ever know me and you howl about weird things?
Right, yeah.
Like, her and I were howling because I had to tell her what happened. I was with my friends. We got a bottle of Jack Daniels, and we went out, and I bumped into you at that party. And she goes, I remember. And I go, when I was fucking mind-fucking you, I wasn't doing coke that night. I was mind-fucking her from an angle of pain. I just didn't know how to tell her. I did not want to be alone that night.
Right.
I did not want to be alone. I had never really had sex with a girl before, and nothing would make me feel better tonight as if I could have sex with you. And I told her just like that, Felicia. I go, even if you just come over and let me suck your titties. And I don't even know how I said it. It wasn't really in a vulgar way. And I remember I told you I went back. She said no, that she was still too young to lose her virginity. And I remember I told you the story that I went back and I jumped the fence. And I drank at the grave the rest of the Jack, and I kept thinking maybe I should dig my mother up. I mean, I felt horrible that night. Like, it was just it was the first Christmas away from my mother.
I can't even imagine it.
And I jumped the fence, and I cried the whole walk home.
Right.
And when I walked in the fucking house, the phone was ringing. And it was her. And she goes, what are you doing? And I go, I just got home, you know. And she goes, are you going to be home for a little while? And I go, yeah. And she came over 15 minutes later. And we made love, and till this day we're best friends. And I finally called her 2 weeks ago and explained to her when she left how I felt. Like, it gave me a lease on life. As stupid and as selfish. Like, she was an angel that night. She didn't come over and I still remember her bleeding and me holding her like I had never done that before. She lost her virginity, and like I had never done none of this stuff before. And I remember her leaving, and like we didn't sleep at all that night. The people I were living with were just coming home. They were playing cards on New Year's Eve. And like that gave me another 3 months of life. Like it wasn't just a piece of pussy. Like, you know what I'm saying? Right after my mother died, a chick did give me a piece of charity pussy. She called like a week after. My mother wasn't, the dirt wasn't even stiff yet. And this chick was an old, good piece of ass from the old days. I had never made love to her before. I used to finger her and we'd, swap spit and shit.
Sometimes I'm like, what the fuck?
You have to remember, he's 15.
I was just thinking how many fucking different finger bang stories I know of yours. I'm all like, what the fuck?
I was such a Catholic that I wouldn't dare to put my dick in your pussy, Felicia. Like, I would rather look at... No, I wouldn't even look at it. I'd finger you through your pants. I even got caught one fingering a German girl. Her father was watching me fingering her. They told her to come in and she couldn't move because my hand were in her pants. She's like, 5 minutes. I'm like, yeah, 5 minutes, Pops. The next day they transferred her. But...
yeah, sure, yes.
She was at Holy Rosary Academy. The next day they put her like in fucking Jupiter. Up there with Christians up there. But it was funny because when she left that night, like it was, oh no, I was telling you about the other girl that gave me a piece. She told me she had a piece for me. She had never made love to me. I had fingered her behind a barbecue.
That's the third finger story in 3 minutes.
But that's all I did. I used to just finger them at barbecues. That one I fingered at a barbecue at John Bender's house. Oh. And then I walked over to get her.
Where would he do it at the barbecue?
That's just a terrible visual.
John Bender had a picnic table with like a tablecloth over it.
You do it outside?
Oh, no, I did it inside at the Four Seasons. Yeah, I did it outside. No, I got the room at the Four Seasons when I'm 14. Yeah. The fuck you think this is? Roses?
Isn't there a couch somewhere?
No, there's no couch. I had my mother. You know what it is to bring a girl to Cuban? Listen, here's the weird thing. Like, Felicia, I love you to death. But if you're Spanish, these conversations we have about your boys would not exist.
Why?
You would sit them down and go, here it is, plain and simple. The first bitch I see in here, she's going in the hospital, and you're going in the hospital. That's how Spanish moms are. Like, you're both going to the hospital for broken bones and other damages. Don't bring one of your skinny bitches over here. Cuban moms do not play that. Like, I used to try it for a while, and my mom used to make me leave the door open. Oh, yeah, that but we're trying to study. We can't hear with your music. I'll put the music down, but leave that fucking door open.
I know.
And if a girl called the house, God forbid, my mother would interrogate her.
But I did that too, Joey, with one of my sons, and I had I don't know if I told you this, but I had done a gig where they were giving out at a gay club where they were giving out condoms. So I had I opened my purse and literally poured them in, and then I gave 15 of them to each of the kids. And then 2 weeks later, my oldest is like, we were going to the drugstore, and he's like, Mom, you got any more of those condoms? And I'm like, what the fuck, dude? I bought you 15 condoms. I told you not to mess around with them. He's like, no, I use them. And then I go, what? And I go, with who? And he goes, with these 2 different chicks. And I go, when? And he goes, when you were home. And I'm like, where? In my room. And the door was open. That's how fast it happens, Joey. And I had to say to him, don't have sex over here, Crazy.
When you're in the back thinking of your one-woman show.
I know,
you know what I'm saying?
I'm all like,
shh. You're like, I'm Hemingway Jr.
Always trying to be my...
And meanwhile, your son's in there getting his hammer sucked like a savage and shit.
I know. It's terrible.
Taking pictures like Al Franken and shit, grabbing titties.
I can't have judgment on it because now his bedroom is where we used to do the old podcast where I took a picture of your balls.
How crazy is that? I went over your house one day, very straight face, and I go, listen, I want you to take a picture of my balls. And you looked at me like, oh, what are you talking about?
Let me get my camera.
You're like, all right, let me get the camera. And I had to hold my dick up while you took my balls. And it was funny because at first you started from 8 feet away.
And then I had to get up on that shit.
You got up on that shit. You're like, wait a second. This is like Vietnam. I got to get up close and shit.
Can you imagine if you tried to do that now? Like, if with all this stuff happening, if you got that call today, Felicia? Or if you got
I would do it.
You'd still do it.
I would do it.
I was thinking about something. Let's say a girl wants to get I'm not being fresh with anybody. I'm just asking you. If a woman wants to get her... Because I see all these women, like I'm a fucking sexual... somebody was talking about pierced vaginas. Like an article that pierced vaginas really got... In 2015, it was the year of the pierced vagina. Or some shit. Everybody got their vaginas pierced. And I was thinking about, like, who pierces vaginas, women or men?
I think both. I think it depends on who you go to.
Like, is there a doctor or does a tattoo do this?
I don't know. Maybe they just get a potato and a needle, you know what I mean, and do it themselves. Can you imagine where they pierce, like the clit?
I don't fucking know. I didn't ask the New York Times, where the fuck they pierce.
Google that?
No, I'm kind of scared. I don't want that in my fucking history. My wife goes in there and sees vagina piercing, and next thing you know, I'm fucking,
living in this office.
Yeah, living on the couch. Come to my office.
That's hilarious.
Crazy.
It's whose phone is that? Is it? No, not mine. Ain't nobody calling this motherfucker. Jesus Christ.
But it is weird how, like, different, like, you can be okay with different things. Like, Joey, you say all these things. We've joked for years, like, how you talk to the Denny's waitresses. And it's not even anything sexual, but it's just something that you wouldn't expect, like, women to be okay with. So I think it would be kind of hard to know what the line is for some people.
Well, that's the thing. It's like after the whole Louis thing came out, some young girl comic put on there, I wouldn't care if Louis showed me his peen or whatever. And yeah, that's cool for you, but that might not be for everybody. I mean, you don't know what experience people have had, like if you're going around masturbating in front of some chick that was molested as a kid or had an issue, or even if, like, why do we even have to endure that,
I'm crazy, Felicia.
Yeah, I know. Yes.
I have moments of fucking craziness, and I thought about, I've been thinking a lot lately. I've been doing a lot of soul searching, just like the Gina story with the when we were 14 and shit like that. Like, I always thought about that story the wrong way. She was an angel that night. She really did save me. I don't remember the sex. I don't remember what acts we did. Mm-hmm. I came in a minute. It doesn't matter. I've always been a preemie. I just know that I felt different after that. Not that I had conquered. Like, sometimes you have sex and you feel like a conqueror. This wasn't a conqueror. This was like she had given me 3 moments. I swear to God, it's the weirdest thing.
I think it's a beautiful story, and I don't think that equates at all, even though you were, talking her in. But, yeah. But even though you were talking her in, I think that's a beautiful story, and that was a very kind thing that she did. But that's a way different than, what stuff is going on. Like, what about that Matt Lauer thing? How weird to wake up and hear about that Matt Lauer.
What exactly did Matt Lauer do?
There's just, as far as I know, they were saying that someone that worked there, they had some meeting and some big story came out about how he, I guess, was harassing someone. However, I don't know the details. But
I read an article that just before you guys came over that he had a button at his desk that could remotely lock the door, so no one could come in.
Oh yeah, but was he using it to do weird stuff?
The stories haven't really come out yet. From what I heard, is that he had a reputation. Like, one time he had a producer bring a pillow up to his room that he thought was pretty. So it's just, but it's a weird. Because I grew up, I started out in post-production, and it's different for me. Like, it's not a sexual thing, but there's a little bit, it's like, it is kind of a boys' club. There's a little bit of hazing, a little bit, so, do you think stuff like this, even though, like, it's terrible what's happening, you have to report it, do you think it's hurting women in a way, almost?
That everything is coming out right now?
Just that, in some ways, I think it would scare some people from hiring or bringing in women.
Well, you always worry about that, but the fact is, like, why should we have to be your lesson? Like, why for Louis to learn the lesson of not to do that? Why do those women have to endure that? I mean,
they shouldn't.
Yeah, the whole thing is. But then, what are the rules? It goes back to what are the rules? I mean, as far as. If you're at work and you're in an editing bay and you can you ask a girl out? Is that considered harassing? Like, what is it going to be like where you can't even ask other people out? Because that, there has to be a line somewhere.
Now, is that a line? Is asking somebody out a line?
But if you're working with someone in a workplace, do you think, especially if it's a corporation,
I think some corporations have rules about that, and I've heard some people like he would continue asking people out, which would freak people out, I guess. But I don't think like one asking on a date's the thing. I'm just even thinking about like stupid like farts or dick jokes or just like I don't know where the line is with that. Like I don't know, like there's this guy who I'm still very friendly with who would come up behind me and just start rubbing my shoulders as a joke. I was a 23-year-old kid he would freak me out and we would laugh but I can see with a girl it'd be a very different.
Oh, absolutely.
It'd be a very different situation.
Because that's some guys, that's how they get into it about, oh, I'm really good at giving a massage. Oh, really? You're going to give me a platonic massage right here in the workplace? Like, please. But that's kind of creepy. Did you feel creepy when he did it the first time? Like, ugh.
I was just like, it was almost like, it felt a little weird, but we just started laughing. It was just, I never viewed it as something bad. And I don't know, I to a certain degree.
Did he keep trying to do it?
Well, he would do it like we would do it. He would do it all the time. Yeah.
Well, then every time he did it, would he just go a little further, like a little hair further, a little hair further?
He never would touch anything, but he would hug me and like grab. Yeah, it was and I don't know. It's in a way because I can't imagine what girls go through, but part of me doesn't want them to miss out on that because I know there's a lot of women who are editors and work in the tech side of things, and it wouldn't be fair really for them to like not be able to get positions or they don't have the same
but the
experience.
The same thing is like here I am sitting with Joey and you, right? And Joey's told me 3 fingered story jokes in a row. Like if we were in a corporate atmosphere, that wouldn't be okay. But because we're doing this kind of stuff, or you're doing editing, where it's a little bit more of a relaxed atmosphere. There's as a woman when you're joking with a guy like that when it's cool and when it's not cool.
I fucking hate, since I was a young man, to put a fucking facade on for a woman. I would rather not fucking talk to you and not be around you, any woman, if I ever had to put a fucking facade on. Because I got called out maybe 30 years ago.
You did?
I got called out by a woman at a car dealership because she said I didn't include her in my conversations because I was trying to be a gentleman. Mm-hmm. And one day she goes, maybe I want to hear that pussy joke. Did you ever think about that? And I felt so shitty because I would always crack stupid jokes, but I would always pull guys to the side. And she really liked me. She was an older woman. If I was 22, she was 40, she had kids. Good looking as fuck, good looking husband, nice people. So I didn't take a curse in front of her. I was trying my hardest. Mm-hmm. And one day she came over to me. She goes, let me ask you a question. What don't me and you do? I go, we do everything. We giggle. She goes, well, how come when you tell us something dirty, I'm not invited? I go, I don't know. And she goes, well, you don't think I want to hear a good pussy joke myself from time to time? And I lost my... So everything I suspected about myself at that time, I threw out the window. Mm-hmm. Like everything my mom taught me growing up at that point. So I've always included women like an equal. I can't tell a story about anal raping somebody in front of somebody. But if I'm going to tell a good dick story or a pussy story, I want you to hear it.
Right.
I want you to hear it and understand it. Because and especially if you're a comedian, again, I don't want to talk about black comics. I don't want to talk about white comics. I don't want to talk about German comics. I don't like differentiating comics. I put women comics. I love everybody. I want you just to be funny. So when I'm in a car with you and we're taking a 6-hour drive on a triple run, and if you think me and Lee have to sit there and be fucking Mormons because you get offended,
right?
I'm not treating you as a fucking comedian, man.
Right.
So there's so many thin lines here that you have to understand as what we're doing. What am I every time I see a hot chick, I'm going to look at Lee and go, and you're going to sit there like, what am I, 13 again? Just say that you like her ass, guys. That's what's part of a comedian.
Right.
Taking my clothes off in front of you and just taking my dick out.
Yeah, that's not the right part of being a comedian.
It's something else. Am I mad at Louis? Listen, I never lived in those shoes. I had different shoes I lived in. And I'm sure he heard of the shoes I lived in. He didn't like them either. So, but I think that's the other part of it. I've never treated you like a second. I've always treated you like one of my brothers in Jersey. Yeah. I don't give a fuck. Your feelings get hurt, toughen up. You're a fucking comic, My friends in Jersey don't cut no corners. They don't cut no corners, and that's
But you don't tell, like, there are guys you wouldn't tell an anal rape story to. I mean, when you're out and about in polite society,
I don't know.
yeah.
Who the fuck do I anal rape? I wish I did, and have some fun from time to time.
But we're all. I
no.
think the problem too is sometimes people can't pick up other signals with people. You know, like people, and I think like. If you're in a situation, we're working together, and then I'm the woman that says that to you, yeah, I like a dirty joke, it's cool, we're all cool, right? But then the problem becomes there are people out in society that aren't picking up the subtle cues of just because I'm saying I like a pussy joke. To them, they might see her saying I like pussy jokes as, man, I don't like some fucking pussy joke. You know what I mean? Like, people's filter is all different, and that's the problem. Like, how are we going to regulate this whole conversation when people don't see things the same way? You know, like, people have a different filter. By the way, I mean, the majority of us have the filter of, you know, don't shit where you eat and be respectful, obviously, but how do you regulate the rest of it? And who do you throw in jail over it? And who do you get rid of over it? Like, what is the line? You know, do you think Louis can come back? Do you think he can come back?
Absolutely.
You think so? Do you think a guy like Bill O'Reilly can come back?
No.
Yeah.
This is because it's over and over and over.
Right.
And he's such a fucking puke to look at. And if you didn't know he was some type of dickhead before you watched, if you don't watch, like the one who had me fooled was Charlie Rose. He looks like Felicia's father. Like, I go over there and not even if I dated you, know, the type of dads like, hey, how you doing? Hey, look what it is. Come on in, have a drink. That's Charlie Rose to me. I grew up on Charlie Rose.
Right.
You know, but the fucking dude, the Roy Moore. Oh,
that guy.
He's molested little boys too. He was a Cub Scout leader that got fired. I guarantee they got to dig deep. That dude is just a dirty fucking freak.
Yeah, that's
you know,
not
there's
good.
people you look at, and it doesn't. You don't ever want to judge, but like when you look at Harvey Weinstein, I had heard stuff, and when you look at him, you can tell he's a fucking pig. I mean, he's just a fucking pig, and you can't blame the position he's in. You know, the position he's in, he would do stuff like that. That's what people in those type of creepy. That's what's coming out every day. Every day is a CEO. This, you know who I bet is at home fucking jumping up and down? Cosby. Nobody has said a word about Cosby. Like right now, Cosby's attorney is like, just hold tight. We need 3 more of these white motherfuckers to get caught, and this is gonna get thrown right out of fucking court.
No. Well, can we, like, Felicia? Can I ask you like the difference between, and maybe Cosby's not a good example because he raped people
and he drugged them,
but with like Louis, the thing that I was thinking about was, at least so far, it's always come out that he asked beforehand. And then, like, the issue was, and at least in the articles that I read, is that people who he asked, some, like, because of who he was, didn't feel like they could say no or didn't know what would happen.
Well, you get paralyzed. You don't know what to say. Look, and I was thinking about this when you were talking about the girl that came over and you said that you had jumped into the swimming pool and you seen her little bushy bush. And I was thinking, and I'm being completely fucking serious. I was at the mall a week ago, and it was a mom and her daughter who was like 18, and we were on the escalator, and she had on short shorts, and she had like it was so bushy, it was like halfway down her leg, and I was paralyzed because when you come across, even if it's that lame and stupid, I was like, oh, do I say something? Oh, don't look, don't, you know, you have that moment where you're just like, what do you do? And so when someone says, yo, I'm going to do this real quick, as they're doing that, you're paralyzed, and it's not always out of this tremendous fear. It's just like, my job, and how do I back out of this without losing my job? That's what it is.
Well,
and then that's a problem.
Like, that's the part that I think, and it doesn't justify what he did at all, but if he's been doing this, or if anyone's been doing it for 20 years when they're a normal person, and a girl could say yes or no and wouldn't think there's a job online or anything, but now Louis just happens to have a TV show, and now people are putting that on him. Oh, now he won't like me or take me on the road if I say no.
Yeah.
So like that, it must be like, that's something that you also have to think about. Like, okay, now who am I, and can I still do these things? Because like I don't. Would another guy who did what Louis did be in the same amount of trouble? I don't know.
Well, I mean, yes, you get in trouble. you can go to jail. You can get in trouble for that. That's not okay, you know. But the thing is that when people do stuff like that, they're picking on people that they have power over. You know, they're not going out and doing it at a bar where they're really vying for the most beautiful women with 7 other hunky guys. You know, they're picking people that they have a shot with, and it's because they're in the position of power. You know?
It's funny. Before we go on, let me give some shout outs real quick before I fucking forget. Because we did a podcast this week, but the fucking heater was, I don't know what the fuck happened. Doesn't matter. First off, I want to thank Scott Cunningham for putting the fucking page back with my man Dickie Syatt, VP Operations. I want to thank Cassius Morris, Jay-Z, Michael Loon, Joe Rooklin, Gino Robles, Troy Pierce, Jordan Barnack, and Ari Knowles. Don't forget, Sunday Novo, Monday Observatory San Diego, and Tuesday Observatory Santa Ana. And all you got left is Thursday for Sacramento, and my dates are done for the year. I'm fucking retiring for 2017. I don't want a 2018. You and I did a podcast a couple of years ago. It was a great talk, and it was something I learned in 1985. I learned it in 83. I went back, I got a call, and I needed someplace to stay. And a girl called me, and we were talking one day, a girl that I had known in high school. 1981 to 1983, in my neighborhood, everybody was fucking everybody. You know, if we were at Corky's together, and we went to a bar, and we did coke at 3, if you went back to the thing, we were fucking, and we were friends. And then the next day, you'd go out with your girlfriends, and nobody would say anything, and we'd just move on, and it was fine. And I came back from Colorado, and we did coke a couple nights, like 2 nights. And I remember the second night, Felicia, we were both in the same bed, like we were both laying there. And something made me not touch her. Like I turned over and I sucked. In those days, to come down from coke, I would take an orange and take the guts out and suck on the peel. And they said that would bring you down. Whatever. And after that, I moved out. I moved with friends, and nothing ever happened between us. And I came, and I always regretted it. Like, fuck, I could have fucked her that night. She's such a fucking hot piece of ass and shit. Years went by, and something happened, and I got into a beef, and she heard about it, and she bailed me out. She even gave me money, and she was a friend. She helped me stay with her for a few days, and I learned a valuable lesson, that you can't fuck everybody. I learned that lesson at 21 years old. You can't fuck everybody. There's nothing more than when I see a guy over 24 thinking that he could fuck everything. When you're 18, you can fuck whatever you want. You can go. Guys with 18 got no class. They actually have no idea. They're finding their sexual, who the fuck they are sexually. When you're 21, everybody, you know those guys that are like musicians, and you meet them and you can see them. They'll work you, and if there's no window, give them 2 minutes, they're working the girl next to you, and then you sit there and go, what the fuck?
By the way, how come we haven't heard anything from musicians harassing women? That's got to be the next big chunk of people coming out.
Well, the really weirdest thing that I had was, not to go away from that, I'll go back to it because you're going to love this story, but that's rule number 1, man. You just can't fuck everybody. You got to look at some women and go, you know what? She's going to be a fucking ally, you know, or she's going to be this or something, and then if you do take them on professionally, they have to be professional. You have to be professional, you know. I've always kind of really believed in that. You have to be fucking professional, man. You know who you're gonna fuck, and you know who you're not gonna fuck. When you're on the road, you bump into victims, and you know, and you go back to your room, and you can't believe shit happens half the time. You can't believe you asked somebody for a blowjob and they sucked your dick, or you were doing coke. You can't, you know. But that's the main thing about this. Like, even when you hear Trump's conversation, that just on the bus with Billy Bush or Billy Burr, whatever his fucking name is, that wasn't just Trump. That was the voice of a lot of men that think that way.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I'm a star. I could just go up to Felicia and grab a fucking pussy and that. You know, that wasn't the voice of just Trump. That was the voice of a lot of men in that position.
Yeah, of entitlement. The voice of entitlement.
Of, you know. And I'm no fucking saint, but I'm no fucking sinner. You know, I've been on both sides of the fence. I always kept that in mind. That you can't fuck everybody. You can't fuck everybody. And why would you want to even sleep with somebody who's really not even fucking enjoying it? What, you ever think of that? Yeah. Why would you ever sleep with an ex? You ever fuck somebody for 3 years, but he had good dick, Felicia, and after 6 months you go over there for a dose of dick? And it's a good dose of dick, but how badly do you feel on the way home?
Oh, yeah.
It's like killing at a D club. You ever go to a D club and you get a standing O?
Right.
On the way home, you're like, I should shoot myself.
Right.
It's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that. I don't want.
Feeling
I don't
ever.
want to be with somebody who doesn't really want to be with me.
Well, that's because you have learned to grow your empathy muscle, you know, and people that do that aren't having empathy. They're unable to feel sorry or bad for someone else. They're doing it because they're unable to put themselves in the other person's shoe. I mean, don't you think? If someone's doing that, they're also being a fucking bully. I mean, it's like the sexual component of it is bad enough, but that's a bully personality. You know, no nice guy is like, oh, I'm so sorry. You know what I mean? It's a fucking bully that's doing it. Like, all those guys are bullies, you know?
I want to know the agents that were sending those girls to those meetings at a hotel. That's the next thing that's going to come up. Eventually.
It has to, right?
Eventually, we have to shoot the messenger. Who sent all these young girls to the meetings? They knew what the fuck was going on. Who hooked up these fucking meetings with fucking Harvey? How did they find out about Harvey? Would Harvey just call Felicia Michaels up?
I don't know.
And says, I have a project for you. Meet me at the Four Seasons in Suite 111. I want to know who the messenger was here. Did you ever think about that? Who the fuck was the messenger on all these?
But the thing is, it's like this. It's the same thing as if we're on the road. What do we do if you and I go on the road? We're hanging out in your hotel room. You know what I mean? Like there is a lot of normalcy in the business. Maybe that's the part that will change. Where if someone is living in New York but working on a project here in LA and they have a suite in a hotel, like there is an argument to be made for like it seems kind of reasonable. In a way, right? But then the way he did it wasn't like come to my hotel room. It was like let's have lunch. Oh, let me go get you a script. Oh, just walk with me to go get you a script. Oh, you know what? I put the script in my suitcase. I'm not saying this is exactly how it went down, but it's kind of,
exactly,
you know what I mean? But I put
You've been there.
Yeah, yes,
You've been there.
yeah,
You've been there.
It's all the,
You've been there.
yes,
Yeah.
you know.
Oh, shit, I didn't bring the script down. Come on, let's take a walk up to it. And they'll even tell you. That's how they suck you in. You can wait down here, but no, come on up.
Yeah.
I want to show you this other script I got.
It's those little pieces of crumbs that they throw at you, and you're like, well, is this what guys do? Do men? Because that's the thing. If then we're two guy comics and we're hanging out in the room, right? If I'm the opener and I'm the girl comic, and now two guy comics are like, oh, let's not, we don't want to get in trouble or whatever, and then you don't get to go in the room, that sucks too, because that's the best part, is when everyone's equal in a private situation and you're having a great conversation, or you're talking about a project, or whatever it is, so it's a complicated thing, but I'm sure now show business will change in that. They have to. The whole business has to change. And I was talking with John Fugel, saying he's always is up on everything, and he's like, the mainstream media isn't even reporting how much sexual harassment is bubbling up in all businesses. Like, people are getting called out in all little corporations. It's not just media, but mainstream media isn't really reporting on that.
What kills me the most about Hollywood situation, that they're blowing it up like Harvey invented it. And it's been going on in Hollywood since the fucking 30s. They've been abusing fucking women. Marilyn Monroe, I said it 1,000 times. That poor woman.
You know what? But you know what it is? It's like when you do a gig, right? And you have a comic friend that's booking the gig, and he's making, and the gig, the venue is giving him $4,000, but he's only giving you like $500. He's giving the middle $250, and he's taking the other $3,200, whatever it is, or $4,200, whatever it is. It's like, that's how, is equated to me about the whole sexual harassment thing. Like, everybody wants to take a little cherry on top. No one minds if you take a little cherry on top. If you're working with someone and you like that chick and you hit on that chick, or you touch her shoulder and then you know, it creeps her out but nothing is said, that's, you know, okay, I'm not mad at that guy. It's the people who are pigs about it. It's the people that want to not just take the cherry on top, they want to fuck you in the ass. You know what I mean? They want to take that, you know, it's the bully mentality of that. Though, like, how do we regulate that? What's the answer for that?
There's no regulation of it because, like you said, look how many people. 66 people came out after the fact, you know. I guarantee there's still another 50 women that just don't even want to think about it.
How did he even have time to work? You know what I mean? Like,
that was his work.
That's a lot of energy.
I mean, you know, what does he do? Does he read the script? He's got 3 guys.
Then he hired like people to hush the women up, like all that drama that he had to constantly put out fires.
Can you imagine?
Just to get his dick sucked. Like,
he had
Jesus
to hire
Christ.
counterintelligence people to see what was out there about him. And for payrolls, you know, it's, again, what a tangled web we weave.
Right.
When we tangle to deceive. I mean, you have to sit there at one point and go, is it that worth it to have? Really? Was it that important? I mean, this is a different type of addiction. Mm-hmm. This isn't coke or alcohol. This is your addiction to the action of the lie, the action of the whole. This is a whole different fucking thing. And let's say, I don't know if he did coke, but what would make you, well, you know, he had so many lawsuits out there. What would make you hire fucking people to find out what was out there about you? I mean, it's brilliant shit.
Yeah, no, the whole thing is just nuts.
You know, again, what a tangled web we weave. And all he had to do, Lee, let's go back to the details. Go into the fucking best restaurant in town, find yourself a little pretty girl, talk to her a little bit, and say, look, I'm married, I'm 42. Me and my wife barely talk. I give her a stabbing once a year. She doesn't let me come in her ears anymore. I make fucking $5 million a month. What if every month I gave you 10 grand and you got a brand new car? I come over twice a month and give you a stabbing and light your pussy on fire. And I sign a fucking waiver. That's all you can do. And don't tell me that people don't do that in LA all the fucking time.
Right,
I know guys who got 4 of those bitches.
Really? Jeez.
I knew a guy years ago that had 4 bitches on a payroll.
Jeez, do they even sleep at night? Like, how do they even tolerate all that anxiety over like
every
that?
Night.
Every moment must be like, oh fuck, I'm gonna get caught.
No. What caught? You mind your fucking business, Felicia. I give you $5 grand, you shut your mouth. I come over, you suck my dick, you give me a piece of apple pie. I leave here, I go fuck your aunt. It's none of your business. Your rent is paid, right? The lights are paid. You're having a good time, dancing and singing all night, right? We went to Acapulco last month. Did you not suck a dick down there? Yeah, okay then. These guys just pay for that. It's called peace of mind sex. Peace of mind sex. I don't want to hear it. And every month I want a report from the doctor. I want to tip-top Magoo check on that little monkey. I want it breaking down in proteins, alkaloids, sperm counts.
Well, I was thinking about you, Joe, because a few months ago we had a couple episodes where you were really interested in like sugar daddies.
We were talking about sugar daddies.
Vegas is full of them.
No shit.
Like I was walking around and there were guys. I was like, how did you? Like even like how like I would be embarrassed to walk around and be like the grandpa and like the high school senior look like. It was crazy.
It's an arrangement. It's an arrangement. You look good. You're tremendous. I got a wife and 3 kids. I don't got time for this. But we go to Vegas once a month. I'm gonna put chocolate fudge on your asshole and lick it. You're gonna get a check from me from the corporate office once a month.
Right.
You know how it is. You know the fucking deal.
Well, I mean, there's a difference.
And you sign it.
I'm not mad at those kind of chicks.
No.
I'm not mad at those kind of guys.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
And you sign a confidentiality agreement that whatever happens, I don't take pictures of you. I don't do nothing.
Right.
You're always covered. And if you do take them out, you pull a John Gotti. You get a beer. Right?
Wow. I hope you never make $11 million.
Do you know John Gotti was fucking Mark Gastineau's wife for a long time?
Oh, really? What was her name?
Mark Gastineau's wife was...
the actress?
She ended up marrying Stallone, didn't she?
Right.
But I think there was somebody else Gotti was dating, and he couldn't be seen with her in public. So he just would set her up with one of his friends. So they would go to Knick games, and you would be there, but you'd sit next to Lee. Meanwhile,
Right.
I'm taking you home, but they're called beards.
Right.
Beards. You know what I know. You know I'm a fucking Ali Molly. I don't know much about nothing. I just survive. You know what I'm saying?
It seems like you do have a plan, though.
No. I don't have a plan because I dated a girl who had a sugar daddy, and when she told me about it, it crushed me.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know that existed. That's how naive I was. I'm hip on, I'm watching a show. I was telling Terry before you came that I don't give a fuck about Martians. I don't give a fuck about politics. I don't give a fuck about nothing. I give a fuck about human behavior and intelligence and what people judge as intelligence and what people don't judge as intelligence. And I've always loved writers like Hemingway and all that type of shit. But I'm watching that show, Jota Jota. The guy that was Pablo Escobar's hitman that turned himself in. In the first 40 episodes, it was so unbelievable that I had to really investigate the guy and watch another documentary. And they said at the end, Pablo Escobar was a genius when it came to part of that stuff. But his main source was this young kid, this Jota Jota. And they're just people who God puts on this planet with that type of mind. Your ex is very good at what he does, at his business. God put him on this planet to be a great manager. You know what I'm saying? My wife is good with accounts. You're a great writer. This fucking guy, I'm watching episode 20, and I forgot all about it. And these are all true stories of what he was doing. There was a new warden in the prison that would do daily, get out of your cell, go through your cell, rip your mattress. And when your wives came in now, he had the police stick things up your wife's pussy to make sure they weren't bringing drugs or money in.
Jesus.
So nobody could smuggle drugs in anymore. So Lee Syatt wanted to kill Jota Jota, Popeye, right? So Popeye went into his cell and goes, "Fuck you. I'm gonna take care of your itch. You can't get none of your cocaine in here. I'm gonna bring it in." The guy's like, "You'll never do it." How do you think Jota Jota brought the coke in? He hid it in the warden's car. So the warden would park in front of his house. He would have one of his friends go at 4 in the morning and put a kilo underneath the car in the panel. And then they would drive the car in and he would pay a fucking cop to go take the kilo out. There's people that have different minds for different things. Like they just really versatile.
Comes natural.
Harvey's mind, these people's mind, Cosby's mind. Can you imagine what Cosby was living with? I always talk about Jeffrey Dahmer. Think about going home tonight, Felicia, eating a steak, right? Kissing your kids goodbye, and then knowing that Lee Syatt's under your bed dead.
Right.
He's been under there for a week. Think of what mind is.
Well, what is that? Where they just don't have any.
Not remorse.
They can't feel remorse.
They call them psychopaths.
Right.
I don't think it's way beyond the psychopath. Listen, one time, you know what I'm saying? What my friend told me about when we were kids, what got girls horny, Felicia?
What?
Spanish fly?
Spanish fly.
Yeah.
Okay, so my friend told me about the Spanish fly. This is cute little girl on my block named Felicia. I'm going to invite her over for lemonade and give her some Spanish fly. And when you actually pass out, Felicia, and I go in your shirts and I squeeze your titties. After about it, I feel a little remorseful, and I don't do it. And that's it. I never do it again.
Well, but you should be in trouble for the first time.
No. You'll wake up and just say, "What the fuck?"
No, I don't think so, Joe.
Your pussy will be okay.
No, I don't think so.
Your pants won't be on backwards.
Well, imagine if that happened today. Imagine if
I'm just saying one time.
Yeah.
Okay, my mind is, what makes you do that?
Yeah.
How much power did Cosby have that he would actually bring him to his fucking trailer?
Yeah.
With NBC around him and assistants and fucking producers and how many chicks said that he fucking raped them right in the trailer, that they came to the set of the show.
Well, I was on a show, like a comic strip live they used to do at the Laugh Factory, and the makeup artist told me, don't, if you're ever on a stage with Cosby, you be careful. Like, that was, it was out. This is like years and years
What
and years
year was
ago.
this?
This had to have been like 91, 92, maybe? Around there, 3? I don't know, something like that. Yeah, so it was common knowledge. But what do you do if you hear something and you can't prove it, and then, you know, because then what do you do if you do say something, you know?
It's funny, Felicia, in your world.
I'm not saying it's that's the right thing to do.
In your world, define what's going on right now. I mean, what really offends you as a woman right now? Like, what would a guy have to do? Like, you know, like, would it be your ass? I'm not even trying to be funny with you. I'm trying to just see what's really going on. I wanted to have you on today, not just to look at your beautiful face, but just see the temperature. Because sometimes I get confused. I don't know what a lot of words mean. I'm not here molesting people. I'm not here doping people or groping anybody.
Right.
But it's getting so sensitive that I'm really thinking of not even putting my arm around a woman during a picture anymore.
This is what gets on my nerves. Like, when the whole Louis thing came out, there was guy comics that were like putting up all the articles and were like, you know, fuck Louis, fuck this, fuck that. Yeah, and fuck Louis. I get it. But then, like, one of the guys the next day had a picture of him and his 3 friends, and they were like, we're going to go see we got into the screening of the Woody Allen movie, yeehaw! And it's like, that's what is sickening about it. It's like, everyone's knee-jerk reaction is like, yeah, fuck that guy, blah, 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 blah. But then people are still participating in the behavior, if not doing the actual behavior, in not understanding that, you know what I mean, how ironic that is. Like, you're saying, oh, Louis bad, but then you're excited to go to a Woody Allen movie who's been accused of molesting his own daughter, you know. So you know, like, I just wish people would take a stance and kind of stick at it. Or like when this whole thing first came out and you and I had huge conversations about it, and to be able to talk to you so that you see a different side of it because of what I'm saying. And I think that's what the great thing is now, is all these women are coming out. I mean, I'm no spring chicken, and I had a guy touch my fucking puss 2 years ago in a club. Another comic that didn't have any money, and that's a drag. You know what I mean? But, and the fact that happened to me, like, someone who's not 21 and, you know, and isn't worldly, that a person has that much privilege that they can do that, it's not okay. And to know that, like with my ex-husband, you know, it's such a complicated thing to talk about, but that when that's touched my ex-husband's life in business, that he's experiencing, you know, going through that as someone's protector, manager, whatever, and to know at the same time his ex-wife is also being assaulted. That's how much sex abuse and sexual harassment and bullshit is going on right now. It's like, you know, every girl you know has 5 different stories. You know, like, we're all connected by it, and we have to figure out what the right thing to do about it is. And it's good that we're having this conversation finally, because and it's good that media and comedians kind of kicked it off in a way. And it's terrible, but at least we're trying to take care of it. You know, they fire Matt Lauer, Louis lost shows. At least there is a repercussion. Yet the fact that Trump is in the White House and has been accused by even more women is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Like, everyone's got to be on the same page or shut the fuck up, you know, and it's not fair at all. And it's your sisters, and I hate to be this person. I'm just going to stop myself, because you know the whole fucking spiel, you know. Like,
does this mean you won't take pictures of my nutsack ever again?
I'll take it. Let me get. Can I have cocksucker right in front of it?
I love it.
Okay, sorry to be that person, you guys.
No,
sorry.
I wanted you
My
to tell me what it was today. In today's
at
world.
the same time, I'm trying to teach my sons not to be a misogynist and giving them condoms to have sex and saying protect women and be respectful and don't share pictures if a girl sends you a picture. And I'm trying to do that to my son, You know what I mean? Like we have to figure it out, because what about for your daughter, or when Lee has kids, and you know what I mean? Like, we got to figure it out. Anyway, my apologies.
Well, thank you for this is why I wanted you on today, especially after the Matt Lauer thing.
How weird.
Because he shocked me. He seems like the sweetest guy in the world, and you feel cheated as an American. Whether it was Louis or Cosby now.
Yeah, right.
Somebody that you really liked, admired growing up, and they kind of let you down. I mean, Matt Lauer, my life still goes on. I still got to go pay for groceries at Rouse, and we still got to pay the mortgage, but it just takes away a little bit from you, you know.
Absolutely. Even my youngest, because we would always watch, as we eat breakfast, TV in the kitchen, and watch NBC, the Today Show. And today he woke up as a young teenage man, you know, and looks on his phone while he's in bed, and he's like, fuck, Matt Lauer too? And feeling like, oh, that was someone I looked up to.
There was something I do have to tell you. I got a brilliant book from Bob Lolingus, who is family out of Chicago, big White Sox fan. I love him to death. I read a fucking disturbing chapter that I had heard about before. But it was the Jimmy Page, whatever, tour, when he toured with the 13-year-old girl.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, he fucked that girl for years. Jimmy Page was a grown man. She was 13.
And why doesn't anybody talk about that?
What are you going to do? It was a 1973 tour. Everybody was on that. I take you to court.
I know.
The attorney will say, that's the first thing. It's like, excuse me, before, what drugs did you consume that night? It was a Led Zeppelin show, was it not? Were you sober at the time? Yeah, I was a member of AA. No, you weren't. You did acid. You do not remember. She was 18. No, shut the fuck up. What's his name? Dated his niece or nephew, the piano player. Then he dated a 16-year-old girl.
Billy Joel?
No, not Billy Joel.
Liberace? No.
Liberace dated 16-year-old boys.
I know you said boys.
No, the other guy. The guy that's really fast on the piano in the 60s, the 50s.
Oh, Jerry Lee Lewis?
Yes, he dated his cousin. Yeah,
he's Roy Moore, right?
Yeah. He dated his cousin.
Jesus.
No, he dated his cousin.
Yeah.
Like
and
blood.
she was way younger, too.
She was like 16 and shit like that. I thank you. And don't forget Felicia Michaels' one-woman show premieres
January 26th and 27th. And I'm also going to be at the Denver Improv on Valentine's Day.
Are you?
Yeah, with Chris Fonseca.
That's a good show there. Yeah. Chris is a good fucking dude. He got me in the business. Let me talk to you people about two things, and we'll call it a fucking afternoon, all right? Number one, everybody's looking for a hustle. When you drive for the right ride-sharing app, every trip can feel like a walk in the park. With Lyft, you can pick your own hours and drive when you want. Lyft makes driving the best gig in the world, so the more you drive, the more money you make. That's the type of action you get. Lyft knows that their drivers is what keeps them moving, so they do everything they can possible to make sure their drivers are happy on every trip. It's a simple formula. Happy drivers means happy passengers. Done. Maybe that's why 9 out of 10 Lyft rides get a perfect 5-star rating. Now, the holidays are here, guys. You can earn hundreds of dollars a week, plus tips. You want to earn more? You drive more. It's never been that easy to give yourself a raise. Now, Lyft was the first rideshare platform with tipping built right into the app, because getting tips shouldn't depend on the passenger having a crumpled bill in their pocket. You keep 100% of the tips, and they add up fast. Drivers have been paid over $200 million since the feature was first introduced, and with Express Pay, you get paid instantly. You don't got to wait 3-4 weeks to get your money. Lyft is even taking the guesswork out of pickups. The new AMP device uses color coding to help passengers find their drivers. So do me a favor. Join the ride-sharing app. Join the ride-sharing company that believes in treating its people better. Go to lyft.com/Joey today. Not tomorrow, not Friday. Today, right now. And you get a $500 new bonus. New driver bonus. That's right. Plus the money you make driving. That's lyft.com/Joey. Again, lyft.com/Joey. Limited time only, and terms applies, bitches. Every year, millions of people receive the least liked gift of all time. You know what that is, Felicia?
No, I do not.
Fucking underwear. Unless they're fucking sexy, a little thong and shit. You know what I'm saying? But we still give it to our family and our loved ones who just don't want it. Maybe it's because it's not the underwear it's the problem. It's the kind of fucking underwear. Let me tell you about MeUndies. That's the only underwear that makes an amazing gift. They're soft, flexible waistband, 3 times softer than cotton. And let me tell you something. My camouflage ones are 4 years old, and I still got them. That's all I wear is MeUndies. I wear them to jiu-jitsu. I wear them to the gym. They keep your nuts comfortable. They keep the sweat out of there. They got the Modal, which keeps the moisture out of your nutsack. And that's what you want to ask for when you're a young man and you're dating. Nobody wants to pick a woman up with sweaty, stinky nutsack. So MeUndies is the undies for you. MeUndies made underwear the perfect gift that everyone's going to love you for. And it's a goddamn holiday miracle. This year, don't give underwear. Give MeUndies. What I'm going to do is this. It's the holiday season. I'm going to get you 20% off the best underwear and socks you'll ever wear. I'm going to get you free shipping and 100% satisfaction guarantee. Go to MeUndies.com/Joey. Again, that's MeUndies.com/Joey. The best underwear you'll ever put on. They're not even underwear. They're fucking like spacesuits, you follow me, for your nutsack. Don't forget, you're going to join jiu-jitsu this year and try to make better yourself. If you're a fat fuck, Fujisports.com, 15% off, code church. Start off with the purple gi or the lightweight, or go right for the Separito and knock yourself out. And don't forget the holidays are coming. December's going to be dead. Lee's going to have to strip that month to make extra money. So instead, if you're going to buy something on Amazon, click on our banner. Where's the banner at?
Just go to joeydiaz.net and it's right there.
Go to joeydiaz.net and the banner's right there, and Lee gets a piece of the fucking action. All right. I want to thank Felicia Michaels for coming again. Most importantly, I want to thank all you motherfuckers for being soldiers. I'll see you Sunday night in the Novo Theater or Monday night in San Diego. I love you guys. Have a great weekend. Stay black.